talk to me how you ended up in 1997. You ended up with one of the biggest wins of your career in Madison Square Garden. I'll let you tell the whole story, but for starters, who came up with the pitch that you would win the Battle Royal?
Okay, this is how it happened. There was a Battle Royal. The Madison Square Garden ran like every month, every other month, like that. So there's this Battle Royal scheduled. I'm in the Battle Royal as a participant, but I'm scheduled to go out like number 8 or whatever it is. There would be like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. So Ken Shamrock was planning. It was the planned one to win. Now we had earlier matches before the Battle Royal. Ken Shamrock hurt his sternum. That's the bone in your chest. You know what a sternum is?
Yeah, I've injured my sternum. It's horrible.
Okay.
Horrible injury.
Yes. He injured his sternum. So all the agents, they called them agents at the time, now they call them producers, walked into Vince's room. I was with them. They walked into the Vince's room and they said, Vince, Ken Shamrock cannot win the Battle Royal. He's injured. He hurt his sternum. Vince looks up. He sees me. He says, put the Brooklyn Brawler over. He's local. I was astounded, not remembering that he advertised the winner of the Battle Royal wrestles the World Wrestling Federation champion in Madison Square Garden at the next show. I remembered instantly. No one else did.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yes, sir. I didn't.
You didn't tell them.
I didn't tell them. Would you?
No.
I didn't tell them. I went in there. I won the Battle Royal. Okay. It was a Battle Royal, and everybody was flying for me, and I threw everybody out. I won. The garden goes crazy because local guy. So I walk in the back. I walk out of the ring into the back. I tell the agents. I remember I walked up to Jack Landry. I said, Jack, do you realize they advertised that the winner wrestles the World Championship? He goes, you wouldn't get that match in a million years. It'll never happen. It would never, ever happen. Everybody said it. Everybody was saying it. So there goes the infamous knock on the door. Vince, can I talk to you for 1 second? Sure, come on in. Close the door. Vince, I had no idea you advertised the winner of the Battle Royal wrestles the World Wrestling Federation champion at the next Garden show. Now, I didn't know what the answer was going to be. Mm-hmm. He says, you got your match. That's what he said. I mean, he didn't even think about it. He just said, you got your match. Now, at the time, it was Bret Hart. Bret Hart was the world champion. Mm-hmm. So I told Bret. Bret was cool with it. He was like, okay, that'll be great. I'm the champion. I'll wrestle you in the Garden. So the Garden was scheduled for 2 months in advance. So the month in between was the Montreal screw job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know about that, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So now we won't go into that, but we'll go into that. Shawn Michaels becomes the world champion. So now my plans, I feel, just went out the window because Shawn back then was the guy who wasn't going to do business. He wasn't going to do this. He wasn't going to do that. So I'm sitting at a bar with Arnold Skolin, and Shawn was in the bar with I think it was Kevin Nash. I'm just rattling names now that he hung out with. But Arnold goes to Shawn Michaels. He goes, hey, Shawn, you're wrestling in next Garden show? He goes, no. He goes, who? He points to me. He goes, this guy right here. Now I said, I'm dead. That's it. He's going to say, fuck you, this and that. Shawn goes, holy shit, can you super kick? Can you leapfrog? Can you do this? We're going to tear it up. That's what he said. I said, holy shit, he's into it. He's totally 100% into it. So I wrestled Shawn Michaels in the World Wrestling Federation for a World Wrestling Federation Championship in Madison Square Garden for the first day of DX, where Hunter was on the outside and China was on the outside. Somebody just posted the match. It's on YouTube. You could show it with the interview if you whatever you choose to do. But my whole family was there. It was sold out. 23,000 people, and I'll never forget. The Undertaker walked in the dressing room. He looked at the paper on the wall. It showed the main event was me against Shawn Michaels, and his exact words were, "What is this bullshit?" That's from the Undertaker. But it was great. It was me, Hunter, and Shawn in Vince's office discussing a match. And if you look at the match, he made me look like $1 million. He took so many bumps. It's on YouTube because somebody posted it. But Hunter was bumping for me. China came in and she wanted to give me the Hana Karana. She almost killed me. She spiked me. That's the only thing that she never did it before. But we're going to try it tonight in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, the biggest match of your career. Why not?
Yeah, but it didn't ruin the match. But I didn't get hurt. But it wasn't smooth. She spiked me. But then I got up, super kick, 1, 2, 3. But Shawn was kicking out on 2.5. I mean, people thought it was going to be the biggest screw job of the world. Like, Shawn just screwed Bret, and now Brawler's going to screw Shawn. They didn't. People really believe that the way he made the story look. I mean, kicking out on 2.5, Shawn Michaels in the Garden, Hunter bumping for me. They go into the outside of the ring, and I take their two heads and I ram them together. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the story, the way it came about. That's why I look back at my career. The things that I've done are insane. And I still got 30 to 40 more stories. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm going to ask you another story then. Here's another story. What are you
going to make it 4 hours long?
No, for God's sake, no. I'm only paying for 2. But no, I've got plenty more. I've got plenty more here. Survivor Series, you mentioned it. It's been talked about to death. Do you remember? I'll ask you a couple of brief questions that people don't ask very often. Do you remember the day after and what Vince McMahon said in the all talent meeting?
The day after the screw job?
Yeah.
He really stood silent, where a lot of people think it was a work and a lot of people think it was real. I think it was real. I asked Bret if it was a work or real, and he didn't give me an answer. But when you think about the outcome, Bret got like a huge $1 million deal with WCW. Vince became the biggest heel in the company. It had all the outcome of being a work, but I don't think it was a work. This is what Shawn told. I mean, what Bret told me. He said, I told Shawn that I was going to put him over in my hometown in Montreal. And Shawn replied to me, "That's more than I would do for you." That's what Shawn said to him. He said, right there, I told Vince I will not put Shawn over. He said, I would put Brooklyn Brawler over, but not Shawn. He said that, and he told me that if I wrestled him in the Garden in that show, he wasn't going to kick out. And I told Bret, I said, Bret, if you didn't kick out in the Garden, I would have got fired because I didn't throw my body off your body. You know what I mean?
You didn't have like a heart attack and go, ugh.
It's the truth. If he did that willingly, I would have got fired. But he told me. And if you ask Bret if that's a true story, everything I've told you is not embellished at all. They will tell you it's the truth. Because I discussed all this with every one of these talents.
In fact, I was going to ask you about what Bret said, because I think he put it in his book to say, hey, I'll happily drop it to the Brooklyn Brawler. I know he said Ken Shamrock at one point, but I think he was injured, as you say, with a sternum injury. But I think by that time he was back already. But yeah, it's imagine that, Brooklyn Brawler, world champion. How long would you have held the belt, do you think?
Well, I don't know what Vince would have did after he fired me. He couldn't fire me because I would have had the belt. But he probably would have took it off me right away. Yeah. But I don't know. We can't do what ifs. What ifs?
Of course we can. That's the fun.
Well, yeah. What if I win the lottery? You know what I mean? What if? What if? Let's do dark sides. Let's do dark sides. I think
the what ifs.
Yeah, the what ifs.
The what if version.